Sorry about that. There we go. So welcome. This is Pastor Chuck Blair. Great to have you here joining me today. And today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at knowing the ark, and again looking at these little interjections in these chapters. And as Swedenborg Manuel Swedenborg talks about this in his biblical commentary, take a look at it, and you'll notice how he starts interjecting these little chapters on joy, and chapters as well, not only on joy, but chapters on community, which is really fascinating. Chapters on joy and chapters on community. That's really interesting stuff. So that's what we want to look at, is some of these little interjected chapters. One we've been looking at is one on community, and the title for today is How to Slay Dragons. So the thought behind this, right, with some of his observations with community here. So much of the flood are the personal challenges that we face individually, community-wise, etc. And it's easy knowing that these challenges are there and it's not always the inappropriate response, but it can be, is to think, yeah, our job is here to slay dragons. Like, that's what we're here to do. It's all the hero's journey, and it's about slaying dragons, and it's sort of this very macho kind of approach. And there are times for that. Like, there are obvious sort of 911 right in your face kind of moments for that. But I want to flip and talk about it a little bit differently. Like, imagine this, folks. We have this concept of slaying dragons, and that has all this agency and all this, like, get yourself pumped up, ready to go to battle. And yet so much of life is not that. So much of life really is going into these hard times, these hard seasons, going into the flood, as we would say, breathing and understanding the cruciform nature of life. Like, the crucifix, the Christian crucifix, the cruciform nature. Now, what does that mean? Well, the cruciform nature is where much of the battle is this emptying out, is this part of emptying out in this effort to serve. And it's emptying out of our ego, it's emptying out of our fears, it's emptying out of all this stuff that is ours and that actually holds us back from being who God created us from all time to be. Now, there's nothing easy in that process, and there's nothing easy about slaying that kind of dragon, because we all have that stuff. We all have that sort of that intense inner voice, or whatever you call it, or stuff you could wrestle with, or you could probably figure out a few other words there you could use. But we all have that intense stuff, and so much of the battles of life are getting rid of that. It's this emptying out in order to go through and march through life in these constant, death, waiting, resurrection cycles of, we see something die, we know that there's going to be a time of waiting, and then we know there's going to be a time of resurrection. That's the Christian message in 3 steps right there. And the resurrection doesn't come easily, and there's lots of emptying out, and that emptying out has some intensely sad moments, moments filled with overwhelming grief, and that's part of this journey too, and that ties right back into this idea of community. It's fascinating, again, to look at the Christian New Church concept of community, because it's. I mean, I'll just read you just a little piece here. Another fact is that no community can ever be completely or absolutely the same as another, and within a community, no people are exactly alike. To everything, there is harmonious variety. That idea that in community, again, which is why we have to surround ourselves with other people as we go through these challenges, is they, again, as I was mentioning yesterday, they all have their perspective, and what God does, and we get to witness this all the time in hard situations. What God does is God is consistently bending that to the common good. He's consistently bending that to the better angels of people's nature, and the better angels of our nature. It was interesting last night, as many we do a lot down at St. Francis Inn, and I hadn't been down there in a while. We go down last night, and you're just watching how it all works, how it all hums, how the people know the jobs and go about doing, like, it's here's this community, and it's this bending, and there's a very subtle sort of fighting dragons there. And it's not fighting other people. It's fighting our own judgments. It's fighting our own worries, our own concerns, our own stuff. because that in the end, friends, is what we're really out to slay. We've met the enemy, and the enemy is us, as the saying would go. And the more we can take that kind of responsibility, the more I think we'll have tools for navigating through the inevitable storms of life. That it's like, okay, what's my work here? How do I work at being a more loving person, a consistently more loving person? How do I let God more and more into my life? How do I push aside sort of my agenda? Because I know my agenda, number one, is one part of my agenda is always to be angry and upset. And how do I push that aside to find a peace, a PEACE, that helps to just move things forward, again, by the better angels of our nature. So that's the thought for today, friends. Like, how can we do that? How can we find a way, like, to slay dragons, and understanding it, so much of it is inside of us, and really being aware of that and move forward in that particular endeavor. So that's the thought for today, friends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation. We're going to do a little prayer. We're going to do a little blessing. And after all that is finished, we'll say hi to folks on social media. If you put stuff up on social media, the place where we read it from is New Church Live's Facebook page. I know we go out on a lot of different platforms, but that's the one we'll be responding to today. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends. And again, I had a wonderful little, just wonderful visit with folks, and past couple of days, and it's been wonderful. So thank you, folks, for all the great support, and my apologies for not having the sound set up right there, right from the get go. So my bad. All right, so let's hop into this here. I know we're getting a lot of comments here. All right. Linda, good morning to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Patricia, great to see you joining us, and great to see that heart right there. Paige, good morning. And Paige, thank you for joining us last night at St. Francis. And that was, again, that's just always kind of gets me, it gets me grounded, Marcus writes, good morning, and writes, I have a song called Dragon that fits well. That's so big. That's so big, Marcus. Maybe we can do even Marcus, I'm thinking maybe that's calling a sermon to me. And Mary writes, the enemy is us. Yes, it's easy to forget to return to God and to remember to surrender. There's an ease in that letting go. We fluctuate, and that is why community is our connection to remembering God is with us. Boy, Mary, that's beautiful. Community. Yeah, community is. I mean, that's what community is. Community is the means to remembering. I love that. Community is the means to remembering. So thank you, folks. Have a beautiful day. Bye bye.